Today we're going to be looking at Lunar Tides in the color Lychee, pink, or Lychee. I think it's Lychee. So first thing you might notice is that my swatches are labeled 1 through 12, but that is not synonymous with hair levels. I do different video clips and pictures and stuff near the end of the video, so the numbers just help us keep track of each swatch. These are human hair swatches, but they are not all virgin hair. The only one that is going to be virgin hair is the number 4 black swatch. Otherwise, the rest have been chemically colored, treated, or bleached at some point in their existence. By the way, it's storming, so if you hear thunder in the background, I apologize. 1 is green. Usually when I do pinks and purples, I get a lot of requests to do green swatches, so that's what that is. 2 is a very cool toned gray. 3 is a natural red. Again, 4 is black. From 4 to 11 is a range that goes to platinum blonde, and then number 12 is kind of like a toned version of number 11. So I will start by taking the color directly out of the container, and I will put it on the top of each swatch. Then some people do like to dilute their dyes, so I will do a diluted version at the bottom of each swatch. Please keep in mind, everyone's hair is different, which means everyone's hair can take color differently. Plus, different screens and monitors can make color look different. So please just use my video as a reference for how this could possibly turn out for you.
And wake up alone on the floor, 'cause I feel haunted in my bedroom. The floorboards in the next room will keep me warm. 'Cause you ought to know nothing about you makes me nervous. I feel right at home. 'Cause you ought to know nothing about you makes me anxious.
For the diluted section, we're going to do a 4-to-1 ratio. So that's going to be 1 part of the dye to 4 parts diluter. If you're unsure what diluter is, I always just give a really quick, simple answer that it's basically something that lightens the color of a semi-permanent dye. Usually each brand will sell their own version of a diluter if that makes you feel more comfortable, but to keep things fair between each video I make, I just used a plain white conditioner as my diluter.
I think I overstayed my welcome, but I think you want me to stick around to bring you coffee or a cigarette.
Okay, I'm gonna let these sit for about 3 hours so that the hair can fully absorb the color. I will then rinse them out, and when they're dry, I will meet you back here and we will do some comparisons. Before we get into this, I did just want to say I do have an affiliate code with Lunar Tides. You can use code FLOXY to get 15% off of your order. And because this is an affiliate code, I do make a small commission anytime somebody uses my code, so thank you so much if you do use my code. I looked up how to say the name of this color, and apparently being American, we're probably never going to say it perfectly right. So I'm just going to say it how it comes to me, which is Lychee. So first thing I'm noticing is that it's definitely not as bright as I was expecting. I feel like the swatch on the Lunar Tides website definitely looks a lot brighter than this, but that's not necessarily a bad thing. I actually really like this color. I think it's really pretty. That just means I don't really have anything in my collection quite like this. And because it's not quite as bright, that usually means it's not going to be as pigmented. So if you are someone who has anything darker than a blonde, platinum blonde especially, even if your hair does take this, there's a good chance it might wash out, especially if your hair is virgin. I would say I see a difference starting on number 7, but based off of the saturation, it seems like your hair should at least be like the number 9 or lighter to use this color. So always do a strand test. Number 1 was originally green. The Lychee definitely covered the top, but I'm assuming because of the dustiness and mixing that with the green, it became a very dusty, cool toned color, almost like a purpley pink. On the diluted section, I wouldn't say covered as well. I do see a difference. Again, it seems to be a little bit more dusty, but still relatively green. So I would probably not dilute this if you have green hair. Number 2 was the gray. That one, as usual, is the most cool toned swatch of the collection. And once again, it's almost like a purpley pink on top. On the bottom half, I do see a difference in some spots, but it didn't perfectly take, so I would probably dilute this less than I did. If you do have hair like number 2 and you do want to dilute it, probably don't do it as much as I did. Number 3 was the natural red. I would say the results kind of similar between like 6 and 7, where I can see a slight difference on top, but it's not enough to make a huge difference. I would say the warmth of the lychee maybe heightens the warmth of the natural red on its own, but it still looks relatively natural red. And then the same thing goes for the diluted section. On 7 and 6, there's probably a slight difference, but it's really not that noticeable. And if there is one, you probably only really see it in direct sunlight. You don't see a difference on number 4. Number 5, there might be a slight warmth in the top, but it still looks like a darker brown. And then for the diluted sections, I really don't see a difference until we get to number 9. Once again, there might be a slight difference on the diluted section for 6, 7, and 8, but I can't fully tell. It definitely doesn't look that pink until you get to the lighter swatches. And in my opinion, the lychee looks the most intentional on the number 11, but it doesn't look too bad on 9 and 10 either. You just get the most saturation the lighter that the hair is. And then number 12, once again, similar to number 2, cool toned in comparison, a little bit dustier, but not as cool toned as the number 2 gray swatch. And since I was expecting this to be a little bit brighter, I did dilute this more than I normally would have. I think if I would have realized that it's not a super pigmented color, I would have diluted this less. I really like how it turned out on the number 11, but after that, it kind of fades out really fast. On number 10, it almost has a strawberry blonde with more strawberry than blonde kind of look on it, which is really pretty. Rose gold, maybe. But for most hair, I would say if you want to dilute this, maybe don't dilute it as much as I did, unless you do a strand test first. Okay, so for comparisons, I looked through my colors. Maybe there's one I'm missing, but I'm not really seeing any of my pinks that look quite like this. They're all either too warm or too bright. Nothing quite this soft, except for other Lunar Tides colors. So hopefully that's not disappointing. I will show the closest color I have outside of Lunar Tides that I could think of, which is going to be Strawberry Leopard in the color Euphoric Pink. This is comparable to number 12, number 11, number 10, and number 9. So I believe that the Strawberry Leopard Euphoric Pink is the softest pink I have before it turns into this lychee where it's super soft. All of my colors are actually even brighter than the Strawberry Leopard, and usually even a little bit more warm toned, but I think, again, it's the slight dustiness of the lychee pink that makes it look more cool toned. Euphoric Pink isn't quite as bright as some of my other ones, so hopefully you can see now what I mean when I say that the lychee is quite soft. Most of my other pinks that are in this range are definitely too bright. I do have softer pinks that are much lighter, but what this actually reminded me of when I saw it is Lunar Tides in the color Smoky Mauve, so I do want to look at that one. This is comparable to number 12, number 11, number 10, and number 9. So you see just how soft the lychee is. I mean, compared to the mauve, it looks a little bit brighter. The mauve definitely has a very dusty look to it. But I will say, I used Smoky Mauve on my husband's hair, and it somehow turned out a lot more like the lychee, so that's just a warning to anybody who wants to use the Smoky Mauve. But the mauve is definitely much more purple in comparison. It's not as pink as the lychee. So if you have hair like my husband's hair, there's a chance that lychee would probably look much brighter on you because the Smoky Mauve looked a lot brighter on him. When I put Smoky Mauve in my hair, it looks relatively similar to the swatch, maybe a little bit more warm toned. So again, that's why I always preach about doing a strand test. It can be quite helpful. I almost wonder if mixing together Smoky Mauve and Lunar Tides' Cran Baby would get something similar, because this is the Cran Baby diluted, And obviously it's much more warm than the lychee, but it's also kind of soft like the lychee. I don't know, maybe I could experiment with that one day, but hopefully you can still see lychee is still quite cool toned without being purple like the Smoky Mauve is. So now I'd like to look at the before and after clips. Those, as well as anything after this point in the video, will all be done in natural lighting.
I think I'm gonna go to sleep again and wake up alone on the floor. 'Cause I feel haunted in my bedroom. The floorboards in the next room will keep me warm. 'Cause you ought to know nothing about you makes me nervous. I feel right at home. 'Cause you ought to know nothing about you makes me anxious. I never feel alone. I never feel alone. I think I overstayed my welcome, but I think you want me to stick around to bring you coffee or a cigarette. I don't think we're done yet, not for now. 'Cause you ought to know nothing about you makes me nervous. I feel right at home. 'Cause you ought to know nothing about you makes me anxious. I never feel alone. I never feel alone. Cause you ought to know nothing about.
I hope my video helped. If you have a request, I do have a link below to a Google form you can fill out. Just remember, I only do brands that do not test on animals. Thank you so much to my patrons, and thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you in my next video.
Ought to know